What does Peter Thiel, Mitt Romney, the Government Accountability Report, and hundreds of our clients at Directed IRA have in common? Well, they have million-dollar IRAs, and they've done it by investing in unique assets some might consider outrageous. So how do you actually have a million-dollar IRA? I'm going to break down the strategies and the common theme people are doing. Now, the first thing you have to understand here, I'm not talking about putting more money into your IRA and just doing more contributions. The common theme of these people I've just mentioned is they've invested in assets they know, and they have self-directed their IRA. Now, the Government Accountability Office did a report on so-called mega IRAs. This is a report where they looked at anyone who had a $5 million IRA or more. And one of the conclusions of the report was those people that have $5 million in their IRA or greater mostly had alternative private assets in self-directed IRAs, not a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now, after they did that report on mega IRAs, they later did a report on self-directed IRAs and explained what the heck those were. Now, I'm going to break down what a self-directed IRA is. What this is an IRA that can invest in any asset allowed by law. Most people think of an IRA for stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, because if you have a brokerage IRA or a Wall Street IRA, that's the only asset you're allowed to invest in. But if you have a self-directed IRA with a company like Directed IRA, your IRA can own real estate. If you're good at investing in real estate, you can get greater returns and maybe have $1 million IRA where you wouldn't be able to do that if you were buying mutual funds, which you know nothing about. Now, Peter Thiel is the classic example of someone investing in what they know. Peter Thiel was one of the co-founders of PayPal. He was the first outside investor in Facebook. And guess what? He used his Roth IRA to invest in those assets. Now, if you remember 6 or 7 years ago, the wealthiest people in America had their tax returns disclosed. Warren Buffett, Donald Trump, Peter Thiel, and one of the best tax strategies we learned from those tax returns was Peter Thiel used his Roth IRA to make the greatest investments and opportunities that he had. That's why he has the largest IRA we know about, coming in at $6 billion, which is a Roth account coming out entirely tax-free to him. Now, if you remember Mitt Romney, US Senator Mitt Romney ran for president years ago. When he was running for president, he had to disclose his IRA, and he had an IRA worth around $100 million. And the Wall Street Journal and everyone else was like, how do you have an IRA with that much money in it? Well, he wasn't buying mutual funds or publicly traded companies. He was investing in small businesses. Some people may call a startup or a private company. He was investing in Sealy Mattress with his IRA before many people knew who the heck Sealy Mattress was. Hey, I'm cutting in here because I want to make sure you know all the stuff I'm talking about on my YouTube channel, investing in alternative assets, whether it's real estate or private funds or private equity, oil and gas, crypto, saving on taxes, all these concepts I love and I talk about here. I want to let you know we do this at my company, Directed IRA. So get on over to directedira.com/call and book an appointment with one of our self-directed IRA specialists that'll help you understand how to take control of your retirement. And so he was investing in private businesses that had a lot of growth potential ahead of him, where he thought he would get a greater return in a tax-advantaged account than he could if he invested in those assets personally. Now remember, we're talking about self-directed IRAs here. You're not doing this with your IRA at Fidelity or at Charles Schwab because those are brokerage IRAs. Now maybe you're great at investing in stock, and if you are, go do that. Invest that, use that vehicle. But if you're like, I might be better investing in crypto, real estate, private companies, startups, things that I know and I believe in, I have some advantage or opportunity in. And that's where people have had these mega IRAs that was noted in the Government Accountability Office report. Now, I'll give an example here of a real estate client we had that had $1 million gain on one transaction invested in from their Roth IRA where they only had $10,000. Now, what this client did is he set up a self-directed Roth IRA. He transferred the money from a brokerage IRA he had over to a self-directed Roth IRA. Now, this was a savvy real estate investor, and he knew there was a piece of land that was up against the highway that was going to be more valuable later on. The reason he knew that is the state and county had already determined within the next 3 to 5 years to put in an exit off the highway. He knew, as a savvy real estate investor who has done these deals before, that land was going to go from agricultural value to highway commercial value, and it was going to be a premium. So he went to the landowner in this deal and he said, hey, this property's worth about $350,000 now. I want an option to purchase the property from you in a 5-year window where I have the rights to buy at a purchase price of $450,000. And I'll give you $10,000 now from my Roth IRA to have that right to buy at a purchase price of $450,000. Now, the seller of that property was like, knock yourself out. I'll take that $350 plus the extra $100,000 you're gonna give me, and I'll just go buy other agricultural land. Now, what happened, of course, was the state and county did put in this exit off the highway, and that property went from being worth $350,000 to being worth over $1.5 million. But my client had the right with his Roth IRA to purchase that property at a price of $450,000. Now, he didn't exercise the option. He sold the option to another investor who was going to develop the property out, and he sold it for over $1 million profit. This was about 3 years later. Now, remember this client, after this deal happened, he called me making sure he did everything right. And I'm like, look, you did it right. You made a good deal. The Roth IRA put in 10 grand. It's going to get over $1 million gain going back into the Roth IRA. And at the end of the call, he was pissed off. And I was like, I just helped you do a tax-free transaction and get over $1 million in a Roth IRA. And why do you think he was pissed off? Because he was 55 years old and no one told him he could do this. He was like, I have the smartest financial advisors, the big CPA firm, the big law firm, and none of these idiots, his words, not mine, told me I could use my Roth IRA, a tax-free vehicle, to invest in the assets I know, believe in, and have an opportunistic ability to make money. Now, I know that's an outsized return, and most people aren't gonna get that in their self-directed IRA. Some people are, though. But a lot of people who are attracted to self-directed IRAs are doing base hits. They're getting doubles, triples. Every once in a while, they have a home run investment, but they're doing better than they can do in an ETF or a mutual fund. They have some advantage or opportunity by having a greater investment pool of options and having a self-directed IRA where they're not restricted to brokerage products. So if that works for you, and if you see an angle opportunity to get greater returns, to increase the investment gains, that's how you get the quote unquote mega IRA. Now, I want to show you an example. Let's say you're 41 years old. You have $100,000 in your IRA right now. And let's say you're getting an 8% return. Well, what's that account gonna look like when I turn 59? 59 and a half being the age I can start pulling money out of my IRA without no tax or penalty. Well, $100,000 getting an 8% annual return is gonna be $800,000 in 18 years when you reach 59 and a half, all right? That's the value of your account over time. Not bad, but how do you get the $1 million account? By getting better investment returns. That's how the account grows faster. Let's say you can get a 16% annual return because you're investing in assets you know. If that's the case, your money doubles every 4.5 years, and your $100,000 is $1.6 million when you reach 59 and a half. That's a much bigger account. Now we're looking at getting to a mega IRA as opposed to having an account only at $800,000. Now, this is the value of compounding, but the principle that accelerates that is getting a better return by investing in assets that you know and believe in. Now, if you want a retirement you're actually looking forward to and you want to take control of your retirement, get involved and engaged and invest in the assets you know and believe in, that's where our team can help, and that's where you need a self-directed IRA. You can book a call with our team below. We're here to help you take control of your retirement.